Viewers. Hello, good evening, viewers. Welcome back again for yet another video lecture series from Global Associates, presented by Mohammed Ashik Khan. Today, I'm planning to discuss the calculation of goodwill for consolidation purposes and what IFRS 3 discusses with regard to some aspects of the consolidation. Today, I'm planning to discuss. Okay, let's start with the discussion. Goodwill on consolidation. What IFRS 3 and IFRS 10 together discusses as to how we calculate goodwill on consolidation. Here again, what I'm really planning is let's first look at the format of the calculation. So what we then have, we actually need, what we need to do is we need to compare the, now let's say this is the scenario. There's a company called A. This company is acquiring company B. Supposing they are acquiring 80% of the shares of company B. So that means if you see the ownership structure of company B, there are two owners. The first owner is, after this acquisition, first owner is A, who owns 80% of the shares. And other shareholders, we also refer them non-controlling interest shareholders, and them we generally refer NCI, and they have 20%. So this is the situation. Now in this situation, let's say this acquisition, now we then have to understand the group structure, how the group structure with regard to this particular acquisition. Company A acquiring company B and investing 80% of the share capital of company B, and assume this acquisition taking place on 1st of January 2017, and the financial year, the balance sheet date, let's say the balance sheet date is 31st December 2017. So that is the scenario. Here we need information as to how the acquisition took place. So we need investment by company A to company B, let's say 1 million. I'm just giving some example here. And NCI value, there's a separate discussion with regard to NCI, but here I just take NCI value is 200. So NCI value is 200. So the total amount comes here 1200. We will keep that as it is. And company B share capital, let's say 600, and the return earning at the date of acquisition, that means on 1st of January 17, return earning is let's say 100. So this is the situation. Now with this we need to calculate the goodwill. So there is a format for this calculation. What is the format is actually? The format is we need to take the fair value of purchase consideration. We need to take the fair value of purchase consideration. In this example, that has been 1000, and we also need to take the fair value of NCI, that is 200. So the total amount to 1200 minus the fair value of net assets acquired at the date of acquisition. At the date of acquisition. So the net, when you say net asset, from our basic discussion, when you say net asset is equal to total assets minus total liability or equity of the company. In going with that line, so here the net asset will, the subsidiary's net asset will be at the date of acquisition will be share capital. The share capital amount to 1000, no, it's not 1000, sorry. Share capital amount to 600. So share capital is 600 and reserves at the date of acquisition amount to be 100. So we take that. So the total we take 700. So we subtract 1200 minus 700. We answer 500. This 500 is goodwill. This is a basic scenario. But what I wanted to discuss today is actually only this particular line. I want to discuss this particular line. How investment can be made. How investment can be made by parent company to subsidiary. Actually, there are four methods. So, four methods of investment possibilities are there. Let's discuss one by one. First one, outright cash. Suppose in this example, what I have discussed here, outright cash we are paying the cash investment of 1000. So the double entry in the books of the parent. In the books of the parent, double entry will be, you have to debit investment account 1000 and credit to cash 1000. This is simple and straightforward situation. Later, when we do the calculation of goodwill, we will transfer this investment account to the appropriate goodwill calculations. So this will be transferred for goodwill later. So this is the first method. The second method is share exchange. Instead of paying cash, what we do is we issue shares from the parent company in order to acquire the shares of the subsidiary. Let's say this is the situation. Company A, company B. Now we said 600,000 shares. Sorry, $600,000 is the share capital. Let's assume $1 shares. To make the example simple, $1 shares. So how many shares we have? So in that case, that will be 600,000 shares. And company A is acquiring, company A our parent acquiring 80% of 600,000. So the 80% of 600,000 will be 480,000 shares. Now that means company A need to acquire 480,000 shares. And what the arrangement company A is made, that every 2 shares of company company A is receiving from company B, the company A will issue 3 shares. Every 2 shares from B, company A will issue 3 shares. If this is arrangement, let's see the calculation. 480,000 shares the company A is planning to receive. So if they suppose, let's make it in a different way. So company A will receive 2 shares and company A has to issue, this is issue, 3 shares. That means to receive 2, they need to issue 3. So every 3 shares to be given when receiving 2 shares. So 3 shares for 2 shares. So that means to receive 2 shares, company A will have to issue 3 shares. So on the other hand, we know that based on the calculation we have made here, company A will receive 480,000 shares. So that means 3 over 2 into 480. So if you simplify this, 3 into 240. So that is 720,000 shares of company A need to be issued when they need to acquire 480,000 shares. And let's say the market price of company A shares, market price of company A shares, let's say $1.20. $1.20. So that means now how the investment, now this will work out, 720,000 shares, you need to multiply this by 1.2. And this 1.2 should be split as to share capital and share premium. Now let's find out the calculation. So 720,000 shares into 1.2, you get 864,000. So 864,000 you get. Of this 864,000, 720,000 will be the share capital of the company A, and difference is the share premium. How much is the share premium actually? 144,000. So the double entry will be here. You need to debit investment 720 and the debit of 144, and this has to be written share capital and this has to be written share premium. So you have share capital account 720. Already whatever the share capital you have, that will be the opening balance plus another 720 for this particular share acquisition of the subsidiary. And as well, you have to record it in share premium. Again, you may have opening balances there, and then on this investment 144. This is the second method. So this is the second method in which how you can pay the consideration for the purpose of acquiring the subsidiary. The third consideration is deferred consideration. Third method is deferred consideration. I'll go back to the very first method, and we said that we have to pay $1,000. We have to pay here $1,000, but then company agreed that immediately. Now this they say that okay, we are unable to pay in one installment, so we will pay in two. That means we are unable to pay everything upfront. So they say that 500,000 we will pay on the date of acquisition, 1st of January, I think 2017. Yeah, 1st of January 2017, we will pay 500, and another 500,000 we will pay on 31st December 2018. Note this. So that means if you draw the diagram, this is 1st of January 17, 31st December 17, and 31st December 18. So I'm going to pay 500 here, and I'm saying that I will pay another 500 here. If this situation arises, this is known as deferred consideration. In deferred consideration, what we do is we record the transaction like this. We debit investment 500 and cash we credit. Our cash book we credit 500, because out of the total 1,000 we agree that we will be paying 500,000 immediately, and the other 500,000 in 2 years time. Actually here it is 1 year, and here it is another 1 year, so total 2 years. So now the second 500, how we record actually, first what you need to do, you need to discount this back. We have to discount this 500 using an appropriate discount rate to the date of acquisition. So we have to use DCF factors and arrive the discount. Let's say, for example, I have arrived, this is 408. For the sake of calculation, you got to use the appropriate, correct, not appropriate, accurate, correct cost of sales or cost of factors, cost of capital for respective investments, and that will be given in the question. It can be 10%, 8%, 12%, like that. Accordingly, you need to see the DCF table. On the DCF table, you will find out the discounting factor, and so what you do is you take the discounting factor and multiply the amount that need to be paid in 2 years time, and assume that we got 408. So what we do now, then we open an additional account, payable brought forward 408, and we debit that 408 here, so that will be payable, and total investment will be 908, and this 908 should be this 908 should be used in calculating the goodwill. So that means you go back to see here at this point will be 908, right? And on the other hand, remember, we need to do one more working. This is actually on this date. So what then when we are reaching to 31st December 2017, what we need to do is we need to again do a discounting factor with 1 year. Now here discounting factor actually discounting factor rate and 2 years. So that is to arrive the discounting factor at the date of investment, and then at the balance sheet date we have to do a separate discounting factor calculation. So same cost of capital, but number of years will be 1, into 500, and you have to arrive the answer. And that, so you may say, for example, 462, and that 462 you should show as your payable, and you balance this account. And as you balance, you get a difference now. That difference, now that difference will be 462 minus 408, so 54. This 54 should be taken as a finance charge. Okay, so this has to be taken to P&L as a finance charge for that year of our financial year. And so this is the third method where we use deferred consideration. And the last method is there. The last method, contingent consideration. Now remember, on an elsewhere in a different accounting standard, IAS 37. In IAS 37, we say that contingencies should not be accounted as part of double entry, or we should not be recognizing any contingent asset or liability. That is the requirement of IAS 37. But IFRS 3, if you have any contingent consideration at the time of acquisition, that contingent consideration should be included into accounting. It should be incorporated as part of our investment accounting. The calculations and the method will all same as the deferred consideration. There's no difference in that. Only thing you need to understand that contingent consideration should be considered as part of our account in investment for the purpose of acquiring a subsidiary. This is all about how we deal with purchase consideration when come to acquiring a subsidiary and when come to calculating goodwill. And I will discuss the other related areas in different videos. Until then, thank you very much for watching my videos. Please press the like and also do share and kindly subscribe, and as well press the bell button so that you will be benefited on future lecture series on many related topics on accounting and auditing is provided by Global Associates. Thank you very much and have a nice evening. Good night.